They got blue rain in Texas. Cenat goes to a weird celebrity party that was post-Met Gala. And lastly, a George Bush official says there's an underground bunker in the United States that's only for the rich. This and more. Alright guys, do me a solid. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you get notified every time I post. I will always keep you up to date on all that is trending on the internet in this niche. And make sure you stay till the end because I put a couple videos there where I went viral on other platforms. They turned out really good, so you're going to want to see them. And last but not least, this video is for entertainment purposes only and may or may not be true. I just provide the information and let you guys decide. Enjoy. Russian scientists may have figured out exactly where our soul goes after death. Scientists have been studying death for decades, but they've never been able to go beyond what happens to the physical body after death, like if we have a soul or not. According to Russian scientists, they say we do have a soul, and they've figured out how to track it after we pass away. This bold claim comes from Russia's biggest tech giant, Vlad Tech. They've spent the last 10 years developing an interface that ties to the brain that can embed code in every atom of your being. Referred to this code as SIC code, or Soul Identification Code, and they say they can track it after you die. How it works is it actually detects your frequency, or the electricity you give off after you pass away, your essence, or your aura. And they were able to put this to the test over the last couple days because their first guinea pig for the experiment passed away, and the results were astounding. Immediately upon passing, they were able to monitor his soul leaving the body, but then it almost instantly disappeared off the radar. The scientists attributed this to the fact that the soul was traveling faster than the speed of light, so they lost track of it and weren't able to monitor it. This went on for about an hour. Then they refreshed their computers, and there it was. It was showing 1 billion light years away. Back in 2024, the James Webb Telescope discovered a galaxy referred to as JZ140, also known as JADES GSZ140. It was located as part of the Advanced Deep Extragalactic Survey, the JADES program. What's baffling about all this is that's exactly where they tracked the soul to, literally billions of light years away. Now why there? Your guess is as good as mine. Is that where we go when we die? Is that heaven? Those are the questions being asked all over the internet right now, but only time will tell. And these claims haven't necessarily been substantiated, but it's looking like they may have cracked the code to figuring out where our souls go and whether we have them or not, period. If this turns out to be true, this changes mankind as we know it. Imagine being able to track the soul after death. Absolutely amazing. Let me know in the comments what y'all think. Did they really make this discovery? And if so, what does it mean? There has been a groundbreaking discovery by the Tolteca team in Tula Hidalgo, located in central Mexico. Now, this discovery hasn't been absolutely verified by an archaeologist yet, but from here, it's looking pretty legit. Apparently, it was stumbled upon by a construction team and later taken over by archaeologists. But take a look at it. It's absolutely amazing, if authentic. It resembles some sort of burial site, but the burial was not of what looks to be a human. It has a little pyramid in the middle and a sarcophagus next to it. Inside of it, it looks like a statue or a carving representing an extraterrestrial being or a gray alien. Catching about the situation is the carvings themselves. They look to be carvings of extraterrestrials, some of them hybrids with fishtails and wings. Some of them look as though they are in resemblance of Thoth or the bird hybrid humans back then. Probably because of, once again, carvings of that handbag. Whatever that handbag represents, Lord only knows. The handbag is a signature at this point of extraterrestrial carvings. Now, do these represent angels? If so, the angels look much different than what we're used to. You can even see in one of the carvings or the hieroglyphs a UFO, a flying saucer, beaming a light down to the ground. Very peculiar, very interesting for sure. It's something that, if realized as true, could verify UFOs and extraterrestrial life as we know it. As I explained, the significance of it has not been verified. Of course, first it was on TikTok, so you know how that goes. A lot of times TikTok is the source for up-to-date and quick first to get it. So it could be legitimate, it could not be. I think that'll come out sooner or later, but very intriguing nonetheless and very interesting. Hopefully it's real. A couple days ago, people living in and around Galveston, Texas were absolutely baffled when they noticed the rain falling out of the sky was tinted blue. It was going viral all over TikTok. Many users couldn't believe what they were seeing. They said it looked as though somebody simply added food coloring to the rain. Check this out.
Got a motherfucking blue lake right here. How much would it take for you to drink that water? How much money?
Hey, we're camping in this beautiful state park in Texas, and it's been raining, and the water that's coming out of the sky is blue. And it's not this tarp, because it's happening on this tarp too. Look at that. This is crazy. Are they chemtrailing us in Texas?
Very odd indeed, and that's not just a little blue. That rain is absolutely blue. You saw it soak up in the towel. What do you think that could be? It wasn't just TikTokers reporting on this phenomenon. The San Angelo Live and the Houston Chronicles also reported on it. Experts are saying that it's a result of something that took place in the atmosphere, and the scientists are now referring to it as a rare weather phenomenon known as an omega block, and it's currently centered over Texas. This atmospheric setup involves a stationary high-pressure system that gets flanked by low-pressure systems. I'm not sure what that means or how that would produce in any way, shape, or form blue rain. Your guess is as good as mine on that one. One older gentleman was out fishing his regular spot that he always does when it started raining. He realized that the rain was blue, but traditionally he had always loved drinking the rainwater while he was out fishing. It was something that he did if he got caught in the rain while on the water. So he decided to take a leap of faith, and regardless of the blue hue, he decided to drink it. Unfortunately, this decision would be met with immediate regret. The old man said he instantly started hallucinating on a very high level. So much so that he saw creatures not only come from the sky onto his boat, but come out of the water onto his boat as well. Almost extraterrestrial-like beings. They scared him so much that he had to retreat to his cabin, lock the door, and wait until the high went away almost 9 hours later. The entire time, these creatures chilling on his boat. He did end up okay, and he did say as soon as the high went away, so did the creatures. Some are attributing it to recent SpaceX launches, saying that the exhaust and gases from the rocket create these noctilucent clouds that can appear silvery or blue in the atmosphere. But that really wouldn't explain why the rain was blue. Many think that it has something to do with an odd dome that could be structured in our atmosphere, in that because these rockets are hitting it, that maybe something is taking place and it's causing it to bleed or liquefy, mixing with the clouds, and then eventually coming down to the ground. Now, do I believe that theory? I'm not particularly fond of it. I don't see it at all. If that does exist, it's absolutely indestructible. So it's not going to bleed or cause any type of blue rain phenomena. No way. One gentleman even did a chemical test on it, and the results were interesting to say the least. But before we check those results out, I just found out 2 seconds ago that the blue rain has reached Louisiana. Apparently, there's a person over there who decided to try and drink this water as well. And the results were crazy. So this gentleman was at work at the time doing a tree estimate when he decided to drink the blue rain. He said at first, really, he felt nothing. About half hour later, he felt like he just entered another dimension, almost like a psilocybin type trip. And it was at this point he decided to leave the backyard of the person he was giving a tree estimate to and go to the front yard. That's when he noticed a lady walking her dog across the street. He said that immediately this lady looks at him, turns white as a ghost, and sprints into her house. And he doesn't have a clue why. He never did figure out exactly why she did that, but he continued to trip, and that's when he noticed a garbage truck circling the block he was on over and over and over again. All the while, there's no garbage cans out by the road, so it makes zero sense. He watched this go on for a few minutes, and then suddenly he said he felt very nauseous. That's when he decided to go sit in his truck, let his trip subside. Now, I'm not sure what's going on here. The fact that it's actually making people have a trip, that could be not good at all. It doesn't necessarily mean it's a good way to trip. It could be something poisoning them at a severe level. So I would not recommend doing this at all, guys. Don't drink that stuff if you come across it. It's not worth it. It's insane to think you should take and drink that blue rain. The fact that it's making people trip is all red flags. Don't do it. Stay away from it. That being said, here's the post from a gentleman finding out what the blue rain consisted of.
There's an update on that blue rainwater that had fallen last Saturday. I did a water strip test. It has a little bit of nitrate, some nitrite. It does have a little bit of a hardness. This is an empty strip, by the way, the blank strips. Some chlorine. I don't know about the bromine. I'm sure it has a little bit. Here's a chart. I'll post a picture of it with it. Had a little bit of copper. Had a good amount of lead. Carbonate at about 240. Alkalinity is about 240. The pH on here is about 8.2 to 9, but the pH meter gave me a 6.2, I believe, which is correct for reverse osmosis rainwater. Yeah.
Former George W. Bush administration official has come forward with information that is going to blow your mind. According to the New York Post, former United States Assistant Secretary of Housing and Urban Development for Housing, Catherine Austin Fitts, she says that the U.S. government built underground cities and underground bunkers for the rich in the case that the world sees an apocalyptic event.
But there is a history of near extinction events. And one of the things that I've looked at, because I'm trying to figure out, between fiscal 1998 and fiscal 2015, there were 21 trillion of undocumentable adjustments in the U.S. government. If you go to our website, missingmoney.solera.com, we have years and years of documentation, including the government financials that show this. And so the question is, where's all this money going? And one of the things I've looked at in the process of looking at where all this money is going is the underground base and city infrastructure and transportation system that's been built. And
I'm sorry?
Yes. So we have built an extraordinary number of underground bases and supposedly transportation systems. Some of these are some of these are documented as part of the national security infrastructure. I think there are many more. So,
in the United States?
In the United States, on all over the world. But, from 2021 to 2023, I took one of the smartest subscribers in the Celeb Report network, and he and I spent 2 years collecting all the data and all the allegations on underground bases. And then we systematically went through and tried to estimate our guess. This is totally a guess of how many underground bases, both underground in the United States, but also underground under the ocean around the United States. And our estimate was 170 with a transportation network connecting them.
And what would be the purpose?
The purpose, if you thought you were going to get a near extinction event, so there, to me, there are two purposes. You have so many activities going on that you need to keep secret, that you're basically building the capacity to, for example, if you're doing a secret space program, you need to platform it from, things that can't be seen. But I think if you're worried about a near extinction event, that's.
So I know nothing about this other than my only window into it. I knew a contractor who worked on one in Washington, in the city of Washington, D.C.
Right.
And I remember him telling me about a power box, like a transformer box on Constitution Avenue that he told me, because he worked on it personally, was actually the exit, the egress from the White House. That was kind of by vehicle. I thought that was, I was like, really? He goes, oh, yeah, no, I installed it. I know. And I thought, well, that's kind of crazy that in the middle of this big city where I was on Constitution Avenue every day, that you could build something like that without me knowing it. Under the VP's house at the Naval Observatory, same thing. I think most people know that. Next to my brother's house on Macomb Street in D.C. But I always thought that was like preparation for nuclear war. Like, I didn't really think about it that much. Some of it is, it's preparation for catastrophe. So, but you think that there are facilities like that in other places outside D.C.?
Oh, yeah. So if you're interested, we have a great interview. I did an interview of Richard Dolan on underground bases on the Solari Report, and it's sort of an introduction to the topic, and it's based on a lot of the research of a guy named Richard Souter, who is very hard to interview. So Richard kind of went through all the material, and clearly it's. I don't know if you ever saw, Washington Post did a project. It was in 2010 or 12 called Top Secret America. And one of the reporters, it was a team of 2 reporters, one of them put together a database of all the different top secret installations that had been built in the country, including since the Patriot Act. And what you saw was just this explosion of money in building so many, both underground and above ground facilities.
And these aren't just a little network of underground tunnels, y'all. They span thousands of miles, cover 170 cities. They even go into the ocean using high-speed rails. How they funded this? She says that they misappropriated funds or made funds disappear from the Department of Defense and the Department of Housing Development, which is what she was the secretary of. These funds were reallocated from the 1990s to 2015, so over a 2-decade span. That must be how long it took them to build this network. I can't believe they built it like that in such a short time. How many people would have had to have known about this taking place? How many construction workers, how many, officials, and really never let it leak. And she says, these aren't shelters. These are elaborate, technologically advanced havens for the rich in the case of an apocalyptic event. They're using energy producing technologies that we don't even know exist. That is crazy to me, and that should kind of take you off a little bit. From there, what medicines aren't they telling us about? What cures? What innovations? What are they not telling us that could make our lives better, easier, longer? It makes you wonder. Crazy is, it's done. So the entrances, the exits, the plan has been put in place. There's a large number of people that know about this. And there's a large number of people that it has to take to operate it. They can't just build it all and abandon it because it would just fall into disrepair. So these things have to be maintained constantly in order for them to work when the time comes. So they have employees there year-round, all the time, 24/7. Crazy. I'll tell you one thing, I sure'd like to have a ticket to that world if anything ever happened, that's for sure. But I'm afraid I'm not privileged enough, y'all. The next thing I'd like to talk about is Cenat and how he went to an after party after Met Gala. Now, he didn't go to Met Gala. He said he could have, but he didn't like the company that wanted him to represent them there. And he wouldn't share the company. I have a few ideas in my head of what that company could be, but I'll leave that to your imagination. Nevertheless, Pharrell invited him to an after party. He thought it was going to be turn up. He thought it was going to be lit, a DJ. They were going to be dancing, having a good time. But this party was much different than he anticipated. In fact, it was even kind of weird. During his live stream, at points throughout the stream, it was almost as if they were approaching him, trying to recruit him or coerce him, or trying to give him a certain vibe, like a club-like vibe. It seemed very strange, to say the least. And at one point, they were trying to get him to drink. Then at another point, they start playing this game called Uno, and the gentleman asks what he would do for the person that won the Uno game. Then this white billionaire kind of keeps following him around. It's very, very strange. And the vibe there is very, I don't want to say a certain word, but it's very telling, right? I'll leave it at that. But what's crazy is there's celebrities all over the place. You name it, Kardashian, Sierra, Future. But it's a really weird vibed party. It's very elegant and quiet, almost calm, almost as if it was a pre-party for something, maybe later. And then he does get invited by this gentleman. Here, check out a couple clips. Let me know what you think. Kind of weird, right? One gentleman even telling him, can he take a picture of his smile? Very odd. It's almost as if he was like
Tyler.
It's almost as if he was like
hell no, I'm going right to better face on Juju. Hell no.
I wasn't talking about like that.
Oh, no. Hell no. Oh, there's like an after party.
No, like another big, like a party.
After this?
Yeah. That's the trip you're on.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I'm about to go in like 5 years.
Oh, shit, all right. Yeah.
You got a beautiful smile, my dude. Let me get the smile one time.
You gonna take a picture of my smile, nigga?
Yeah.
So he opts out of going to the after party because his chat's kind of telling him the vibe, and they're kind of observing for him and keeping him informed as to what's going on. He eventually decides to try and leave. But as he starts pushing on the doors, he realizes they're locked. Well, the billionaire white guy kind of creeps up on him again, and then the guy from the movie Get Out ends up opening the door to him. Check this out. Really
I don't
crazy.
know what to do, nigga. Oh, shit. Oh.
Let's do something at the boss. You've been neglected us. We're coming back to the
I'm coming back soon.
Really crazy stuff, right? I feel like a lot of people in the comments were saying this was some sort of recruiting type attempt, or maybe a lot of people were saying that he's already got to be part of the club, but they're not sure. But it did feel really like fratty, or some type of, I don't want to say club, but very highfalutin and very interesting. Either way, he ended up going back home. He felt uncomfortable for sure. What do you guys think? Is he part of the club, or is he not? Is he getting recruited? Is he not? And do you think he would join? There's been a lot of speculation. One of the members of AMP that got kicked out is saying stuff on Twitter about them kicking him out because he didn't want to sell his soul. Could that be the case? Let me know what you think in the comments. Next video kind of relates to the Cenat party of uber rich celebrities. It's from Confessionals podcast, and this gentleman that he had on said he was part of a super elite family, and he shares some of the ins and outs of what goes on inside that world. That, to me, is a very interesting clip. 13 bloodlines take their sons or grandsons down to see this dragon, and he called it a physical being, and it's supposed to be the devil. This dragon comes up from the depths of the earth, consumes their offerings, and actually tells them their future, lets them see into the future. It's absolutely mind-blowing. I've never heard any information like this. I found it very intriguing. Check it out.
But then I've seen men become not people. Like literally
not through the
change.
people. Yeah.
Okay.
And there is like lycanthropy, and there's these understandings of what the watchers are capable of doing that most people are just woefully ignorant of. And that's why they're perishing, is because they lack a basic understanding of history. And one of the predominant understandings of what a watcher, specific class of celestial beings, is capable of is augmenting itself. They can shapeshift. That is by their nature. They're literally called metaschizmadzotoi in the Greek in the New Testament. And it's because he says it's marvel not, because Hasatan, you could say like transforms himself. That's a good word for it. But he shapeshifts himself into an angel of light. And his messengers, his apostles, disciples, they do the same thing. And he's like, this is because they are capable of becoming anything they want to be in order to deceive on one side of the equation. And that's what they'll do. And so when people start engaging in these necromantic rituals and other stuff, and they start to seek the embodiment of these celestial ones, they can get these things on them and in them, and they can't contain them. And some of these guys who are messing with this stuff, who don't come from the bloodline, are incapable of cohabitating like a parasite, and they feed off of each other, and they can't handle it. And so that's why families are recruited from these bloodlines, and children are recruited out, even if they don't know anything about it. Like you said, the vast majority of people who come from these bloodlines, there's a lot of muddying of the waters. There's a lot of purity that's been changed. There's a lot of half-breeds. There's a lot of quarter breeds, right? There's a lot of people that don't know this stuff, and they start to get into lesser magic, and all of a sudden it's like the doors of everybody open to them. But that's why. It's because they can host these things better. Whereas those that don't, they get taken over by this stuff, and they can't change back. They can't return, in a sense. Like, people become completely possessed and are incapable of expelling the darkness after that. And who do you turn to? You're going to go to the Catholic guy who's all into the same thing that you're into, like most people don't understand what a real deliverance is required for somebody that has gone down this far down, where they are the consuming people. Like, that's a deep, devastating psychological, spiritual shock, physical, your liver, like the health. This is why I'm huge into health, because I physically had to try to find ways to help people who have done all of these things. Like, the consumption of human blood does horrific things to the human body. And this is a major practice within this. These families do drink blood. That's why we have these vampire class of people. It's not some kind of myth. People consume blood in order to extend their life force.
I really recommend you go watch this podcast. The guy, he may seem a little quirky at times, but his knowledge is vast and it's interesting. He talks magic, witchcraft, lichen, shapeshifters, all of it. Next clip I want to show you is from a gentleman named Pastor Troy Brewer. He said he was on a mission in Mexico, way up in the mountains, when he encountered something he never imagined. He said this being stood 20 foot tall and stared at him for a very long period of time. And he said it was plain as day that it was a giant. Listen to his account.
I'm going to tell you this. Never said this publicly, but Jerry Sellers is here. He's right here. My son, Benjamin Allen Brewer, is here. And I'm going to tell you, we were in Chiapas, Mexico. And on a mountain, we saw a giant. Really? I'm talking about a big one. I'm not talking about a 9-footer or 10-footer. I'm talking about mid-20s. Not for a glimpse, not a second. For about 25 minutes, I stared at it. We all got there. They were all praying for me. So all this, like 40 pastors. And they're all praying. And they're all speaking in Spanish. I can see Jerry and I can see my son Ben. They were all standing there minding their own business. And they're all praying. And I see on the next, there's a big valley and there's a ridge in front of me. And I see this thing come up over the ridge and stand next to this tree. And as the tree sways, it sways exactly however the tree's, and it like mimics it. And I'm just sitting there, man, and I'm just looking at this thing. And I'm like, wow, I saw it come up. I actually saw it come up. And it's staring us down from the next mountain over. And it's staring, I can tell how big it is because of that tree. And it's no joke. I mean, this is no joke. And when Ben turned around and looked at it, the tree moved and it froze. And so it knew what we were doing. Mm-hmm. So I'm just going to tell you this. I started talking to it, and I was talking like this level. Now, there's no way anything can actually hear me. That thing is a quarter mile away. Yeah. And I'm just like, I see you devil, and there's nothing you can do about this. We're here. We're not going away. We're rescuing kids. We're doing everything that Jesus wants us to do, and there's not a thing in the world that you can do about it. Wow. You can either move or you can go to hell. And I'm talking in this voice. And then it started doing this. And I told Jerry, I said, Jerry, I want you to softly turn around. He said, why? And I said, because there is something a giant on the top of that hill, and I've been looking at it for 20, 30 minutes. And Jerry turned around and went, "Oh my gosh!" And then when he did the thing, kind of stood up like this and just turned around and like in just a couple of strides.
Unbelievable.
The guys just kept running, praying, power of God's moving, Holy Spirit's moving, all kinds of craziness. And they're just like, so I asked them, we're on this prayer mountain. And I said, you guys ever have like crazy things shown? The pastor's like, what are you talking about? Like, you ever had like giants in this region like that? He goes, yeah. He goes, there's one that lives on that mountain right over there. That was the mountain that I actually saw it on.
Wow.
And not only did he see it, but his son and another gentleman saw it as well. Mind-blowing. 20 foot tall. Sometimes I think we're misguided a little bit on whether or not these giants are absolutely evil. I think maybe they aren't evil at times, and we are just taught this for some reason. So I would urge somebody next time to not necessarily take a malice approach towards it. But his account was very interesting nonetheless. And for some reason, I just feel like a lot of these giants do dwell in Mexico in the mountains. But yeah, awesome story, and just more proof that, hey, giants may in fact exist. This next clip I want to show you guys took place in Ohio. And this is one of the most fascinating instances of ball lightning I've ever come across. Check this out.
Making.
Hey, videotape that shit.
Dude, that shit is just
That's
rolling.
a fucking video. Aliens.
It's an orb. I got an orb on video right now. A fucking orb. Unedited. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. It's on the surface of the water. It's on the surface of the water. It's just skimming across the water right now. It's not above the water. It's on. Oh! Shit!
Wasn't that crazy? I've never seen anything like it. Setting the alarms off on the cars and stuff. Awesome. Ball lightning is a phenomenon that is so peculiar and unlike anything I've ever seen. It's almost like it's sentient in its own right? The way it moves, it seems almost like it's alive. And you can't help but wonder, like, how does a phenomenon like that even come to pass? One of the coolest I've ever witnessed, by far. This next video happened quite a while back, but I wanted to share it. It's called The Romanian Dragon. A gentleman seems to have dug up a well of some sort, and at the bottom, it seems as though he may have found himself a dragon. Check it out. Y'all, I can't even begin to put in words how massive this snake is. And before you even say it's AI, watch the video first. It's not AI. This is authentic footage from a chopper in the Amazon. It reminds me of the one the gentleman filmed in Vietnam when he claims the snake actually tried to tack his helicopter as he was hovering over it. Y'all remember that iconic picture. Now we have one clear as can be, and this snake looks to be at least 60 feet long. 60 feet. It's all of 50, 100% 50. I'm guessing 60 feet in length. Check him out. One way you can tell it's not AI, watch its head movement in the water. And yes, it looks like it's slightly on top of the water, but you can clearly see there's a sandbar under it that goes all the way to the shore. So it's that shallow there. Also, there's another snake in the footage. It looks like it's kind of like coming off from that large snake. Maybe it's one of its offspring or something like that. But yeah, this footage is not fake. It's authentic. How big would you say that snake is? It's got to be one of the biggest ever caught on film. And is it just me, or do these things keep continuing to get bigger and bigger somehow? You could easily call that similar to a Titan boa. They're getting back to Titan boa status, 100 feet in length very soon. Wild stuff. Let me know what you think in the comments. I don't know about you, but that looked like a dragon head to me. That about wraps it up for this video. I hope you enjoyed. I'm trying to do longer videos for you guys to keep you more entertained, and I hope you like it. So, stay love, stay in light, be kind to others. Out.